Fire Cephalopod from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. This was so close! Closer than any other entry on this list, just barely beating Baby Reborn. The reason, both have different phases or transformations, but some people asked recalled that this guy had two different fights. When I found players that played both Link's Awakening and Minish Cap, however, some remember this fight, but hardly anyone remembered Baby Reborn. Ouch! This one is exactly like the first one from number 181, but there's lava pits around and not a lot of room to move. Why up this high? It's hard to coordinate your attacks jumping over things in it. It can cause some double damage by hitting you and sending you to your fiery doom. It's a basic boss, but still complete enough to give some a decent challenge. Slime Eyes from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. You have to admit that's unique, a boss that taunts you to try finding it when you enter the room. When you knock it off the ceiling, the fight is on. What you have to do is use the Pegasus boots to repeatedly keep trying to slice the big eye into two separate pieces, then do the same to them. Sure, it'll simply bounce around, but the combination of this being a rather early boss, and that it stuns you when it comes from the ceiling is a rather dangerous mix. Watch your health and movements with this one. Fast 8 from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. What? What? How did this one get way up higher than the other one? Simple. This one did it way better. The space is way smaller, so it's more up close and personal. No running this time. In this one, the tiles will start flying towards Link, and this one is way more ominous, appearing very slowly in a scary kind of way. Admittedly, once the tiles are gone, it's no longer a big threat, but boy, does it do some things to remember it for. Mazel from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Again, just like Baby Reborn, you'd think this one would get up higher, but no one talks about this boss, and for that, it suffers. It's not hard to see why, though. The weak points are obvious. You shoot it into both of its palms until they get dark, you shrink, and then you head into the belly, and must find the right columns to slash at it before Mazel spits you back out. Even though it includes variety, like using an item to get around the insides of it, and this is a complete boss, it barely passed on the satisfaction and variety parts. And plus, with its low memorability, it's not a surprise it went this low. I mean, think about it. What about this boss makes you scream, awesome and amazing, I want to fight it again? Join the club. The Shadow Hag from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. This one will make you drop your pants in surprise. Right off the bat, the Shadow Hag will send in 4 shadows to chase you like some love potion episode off of a cartoon. These things are hard to avoid unless you want to take the rocks way out. Cheater. I'm kidding, I do it too. Like a Boo off of the Mario universe, you can't look at her directly. Instead, you must use your seed shooter to ricochet seeds off of the wall, back over yourself, and then let them hit her. Ah, the Mario references. This boss is hard. It's very fun and challenging, and there could be that chance where Link could give up the ghost. Ook from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. There you go, target painted. Now to have fun with this guy in his own jungle gym. The music is unique, the personality behind this guy is pretty interesting, and it has a nice touch of variety for a first mini boss. Plus, to add on to that, it's not too hard or easy. Ook moves quick between pillars and will launch the boomerang at you. A simple shield block will take care of that, but you must roll and knock him off a pillar in the middle of his throw. He'll start toppling, then he'll get his just desserts from his returning boomerang. From his earlier gesture, you know what to do from there. It's a very balanced fight to start off with in the game. Zelda from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. The first question that comes to mind is, why? Ganondorf is huge, has already taken over Hyrule. He doesn't need a girl's body to do his bidding when he can do this battle himself. Plus the deep laughter and voice coming from Zelda in this fight. Oh my gosh. Fine, the battle's good as long as all the pieces are in place to make a player enjoy it, but come on! I'm not going to take you seriously if you dive bomb with that sword towards me in a long flowy dress. Oh look, more softball practice and a little Triforce shaped trap is going to make me evil and sinister. Sorry, but Ganondorf, you get my vote for most embarrassing feat in the entire Zelda series. Aeropos from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This is the last of the Zalfos type creature, but it is easily the best one. You can't deny, having a flying creature wield a sword and shield in a ground versus air match is really something to take on. Since it flies, it has momentum on its side it will try using to charge at you. At this, you can use your boomerang to daze it, then use your hookshot in the ultimate get over here scenario to drag the shield and Aeropos completely towards you and damage it. While it will mix between ground and air tactics about halfway through the battle, it will try flying out and in the gaps of the wall to ambush you from unexpected sides. Whew! I wonder why this one isn't talked about more often. Oh, right. The boss is cooler. Possessed Lineback from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Do you hate me now? This is the final boss from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. It didn't score too well, and it's because of a handful of things. For one, your partner talks quite a bit in this battle to take away the immersion. This guy moves towards you at a snail's pace with nothing too interesting in its advances, and it basically tells you what and how you're going to attack the weak point. These aren't great tools for a final battle. Yes, I admit the music and seriousness of the moment is wonderful, but that's only a handful of things done right. We want to remember you, Phantom Hourglass, for your wonderful and cool DS features, but it tears me apart to see a boss like this. Pro Stare from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. Here's one of the more thought out battles from the game. You start this boss off with a lot of ice bats protecting its eye. Sounds simple enough, you can shoot lasers up at it and destroy them. When you get to the main boss, however, it'll close its eye as a defense unless something is done about it. First, you must activate the switch to reach the other side, and then there's a little exposure point above the ceiling to release the boss from the ceiling. From here, the boss is hard in that it's hard to hit it with lasers and your sword as it flies around, because of the platform, and easy because it doesn't have any aggressive tactics. All it does is fly around and shoot ice balls at you, freezing you for a half heart. It had everything set up well, except for that last part where we must say, aww. Phantom Ganon, the castle version from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. Yep, first Zelda and now this. Can't you just feel the softball expedition coming? Phantom Ganon is a pretty cool boss. It'll throw its light balls and the same colored Link must strike it back repeatedly until it tumbles. Seems straightforward enough. However, if you miss, the light ball will break, spreading across the screen to hurt everyone. The boss has great design, great sound, a nice upfront attack, nice penalties if you do things wrong, and comes in and out of the battle like a boss. Shadow Link, the sixth encounter from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. It's been a while since we've seen you, buddy, hasn't it? This battle looks like your typical battle, but there's a bit more strategy behind it than you think. Now there are explodable holes in the walls, and with the new pathways opening up, the battle becomes more engaging on hunting these guys down. Here's the catch. The Shadow Links can phase through the walls without having to blow up the walls, so that's something. As you can see here, because you've done 5 encounters, it's not exactly a secret on how to kill them. In fact, you may just corner these guys the moment you come into this battle, but you never know. One may slip past you to play a game of hide and seek with you. Phantom Ganon from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Even though this one might be the weakest Phantom Ganon of them all, it sure has an award to boast. Just look at how fast he throws his magic balls! Seriously, as if the first couple weren't fast enough, you must hit it back and forth about 5 or 6 times with each bounce, making it faster before Phantom Ganon crumbles. But sheesh! Will you crumble? This is a basic and straightforward mini-boss, but boy is it memorable. Gorg from The Legend of Zelda Majoras Mask. There are 3 debatable 3D Zelda bosses in this part, and the reason I use that little intro is because there's going to be a lot of explanation on these parts. Because, let's face it, they're as controversial as they can get. With Gorg, I was left to myself to judge for it because exactly half of Zelda fans hate its guts because it's annoying, or the other half enjoy it but it never gets onto any top 10 list. It's a fish! Who's going to boast about a fish when you fought Odawa and Goat? Both excellent bosses before this. 8 hours. That's how long it took me to put Gorg into the proper rank here, because nobody was helping, and that makes sense. If it's annoying, why talk about it? Or if it doesn't stand out, why bother to pretend it exists? But in all seriousness, this boss is the biggest entry that took the longest for me to figure out. So, because I have no proper foundation from other Zelda players, let's judge this from the bottom up and rank it from here. The music is okay, nothing great or terrible. The design, it's not the worst, but it's far from the best. Obviously, it's annoying to some, and that would be for some first-time players as well. Is it difficult? Obviously so, with the mechanics behind the Zora outfit and timing to get back onto the platform. So, difficult for the wrong reasons, perhaps? Maybe it's appealing to some because of the Zora outfit and mechanics. What's left is that how does the boss play out? Well, when you have your Zora blades to stun it, then you have to dive in to damage it. It will do some impressive things like trying to bump you off the platform or eat you for 2 hearts of damage. Not too shabby, could be part of the annoyance though. The piranhas are a nice addition to keep Link away from the Gorg. To the best I could from judging it after hours and comparing and being as fair as I could, I have decided to place it here, at rank 137. Twin Mold from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Oh what, just put on the Giant's Mask and just end the battle. It's as simple as that.
Come on guys, don't you want some excitement in your life? Kill it without the Giant's Mask if it really isn't that fulfilling. You beat Majora's Mask so many times and you never once thought of doing that? You're missing out, my friend. Seriously, make things harder for yourself rather than go for the training wheels. Have you never stopped once to think what Twin Mold's color set means? The red half is weak to ice arrows and the blue half is weak to fire arrows.
Oh, don't bother, it takes so long.
Oh, okay. I understand if you're not that good at archery. Think about this. You aim at their tails with the arrows and then down something that's 100 times bigger than you, and it's probably one of the most satisfying accomplishments in this game. I don't know about you, but defeating Twin Mold single-handedly as a small kid would be something worth experiencing, don't you think? Morfield from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Enter round 2. Let's get it on! I don't know if you remember way back to part 1, but I mentioned in English that there is a difference in facts and opinions, and then there are moments when the opinions are the facts because they are true. I came into this wanting to be all fair on this battle and give it a fair judgment, but this is one where the critics are right. There were some improvements that needed to be made on this boss. The first part did well. You sink down to the bottom to find some weird creature, and like Morfield from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you have to use the hookshot to pull out the eye in its tentacles and swipe it. Thankfully, it has variety. It'll mix in some creatures and bombs to throw you off, so your Z targeting will have to be checked thoroughly in this battle. Every once in a while, it'll try grabbing you with the tentacle and eat you. Seems fair enough. So far, so good with its reputation. The second part is missing a few things, though. Normally you try chasing it down, then you hope you can latch your hookshot onto its weak point and then stab it in the eye on top of it. Unfortunately, the boss doesn't attack unless you get directly in front of it, so most of the time you'll be firing your hookshot hoping to grab it, and since it moves so much, and you're much slower in the water, this may not be a good thing on a person's sanity. It could have done better, but dragging on about a boss battle is not a good way to get points. Phantom Ganon, the temple version from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. I won't go long into this one. In this version, Phantom Ganon splits himself up with Shadow Link style to fire its magic balls at you. This time though, there are blanks around that will fizz out if you hit them. A good note though, is that the real one will change colors, so different links will have to stay together and prepare to hit it back. The rest has already been explained. Ruto Pirate from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This one is laughably inferior to the Ocarina of Time version, and let's face it, if you played Ocarina of Time, and you most likely have before playing this is training dummy practice. Plus, to top it off, you have a whole arsenal of weapons and masks to use against them. Let me give you an example. In Ocarina of Time, the pirates block to arrow strikes. In this one, they do not. Plus, the experience is gone. You're fighting a grown woman as a kid, in contrast as an adult last time. Is it just me, or does that pinch a little bit of something off in this battle? Polar from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Wow, I am so happy at the moment because I thought I was going through heck when I played through this boss, but I was one of the lucky ones that actually got the better of two evils. You know why? You see, Polar switches between two elementals, fire and ice. You have no water or ice seeds on you to attack its fire side, but after a few moments, Polar will switch elements. You can attack his ice side with your fire seeds. Here's the catch. You have to wait so stinking long for it to switch sides. Or do you? You see, I found out, and I don't know who else knows, is that if you use mystery seeds, you can force Tripolar to switch elements. Then you can just use your fire seeds and attack it. I came in here thinking I was going to have to complain about switching seeds constantly in the menu, but turns out there are those who suffered worse than that, like Zelda PD here. Interesting. Who else knows about this? By the way, there's one more trick you can use to kill Tripolar way faster. Does anyone know what it is? With it you can kill him easily in under 1 minute. Very few know about it. The Gyro Master from The Legend of Zelda Majoras Mask. Yeesh! This guy is strange. It's like fighting Yoda off of Star Wars. How can I describe anything about this boss if it moves around so wildly and fast? But then again, that is the charm behind this battle along with its design. One thing though, it kills itself after you bring it down. Like the rest of this place you've been visiting, the strange things just keep piling up, huh? Majora's Mask from The Legend of... Wait, what are you doing? Okay, gosh, can I explain? This is the first version! I didn't mean the whole fight. Ow, that hurts. Jerks. Yes, this is just the first fight, and well, call me crazy, but like most other final bosses in the Zelda series, this is the warm-up match. Nothing too extraordinary is supposed to happen yet. But don't worry, those good ones are long ahead of this entry. Either way you look at it, or which tactics you use, this isn't the hardest or most impressive boss around. You can use the Fierce Deity Mask, you can use your fins from your Zora outfit, you can use your arrows, it's all good fun. Majora's Mask won't take that line down, but will summon the poor masks you got from the other temples to attack you. You got your favorite tactics to knock them down. And then there's Majora itself. It will start using the laser light beam you can use your mirror shield on to aim at the other mask or Majora itself. Other than that and a few weird snake-like movements, that's today's show for now. As for the later versions, oh joy. The Horde Battle from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Whether you're a Dynasty Warriors fan or not, this encounter will put you in one of the most adrenaline-filled moments of your life. Who cares if it's a quantity over quality matter, just hit. After that you can smash. Then you can crash. If you are looking for that variety or change in battles, this battle still doesn't disappoint. There will be big guys, little guys, smart tactical guys, guys with arrows to throw into the mix, the whole works. But who cares about that or realism? We all play video games because we don't want things to be real. We want to destroy things! Skirbo from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now this is cool! It's a pirate duel battle. It's all down to a narrow bridge where it's between you and Skirbo in a sword fight. You can't get over this. It's either Skirbo will push you into the spikes on your end or you'll topple Skirbo off the edge of the plank. That's awesome! Each time you do so, Skirbo gets more desperate and the spike gate behind you gets tighter towards Skirbo's end, causing some rather immersive gameplay. Other things to mention, the music and sounds coming from the pirate and sword classes are just perfect. They match up fine. Woo! Yeah! Skyward Sword. You did well. Dreadfuse from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now there are a few more things different. The environment is still appropriate, the sounds and music still complement. It has electricity brimming through its sword to electrocute Link now, and it has more aggressive tactics. As for the gate behind Link, no handicaps this time. It's time to take one to the plank once and for all. King Dango from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's finally here! How long were you waiting? Were you expecting in part 1, maybe part 2? But certainly not part 6, right? Well, since you followed me up until part 6, I appreciate your trust and willingness to listen to what I've been saying so far in this project. And I'm further grateful if you do have heart to hear me out on what I'm going to say next. Believe it or not, King Dango is not a terrible boss at all as much as you might think. You see, it's no secret that the Ocarina of Time is the most well-known game around. Because King Dango is the worst official boss in it, and yes, I admit that. Plus, combined with what I just said, it's pretty much an overkill target for top 10 worst bosses of all time for many YouTubers. Here's the thing though, is that in the end, every countdowner, yes, including myself, we can try predicting the weather the best we can, but sometimes we're just wrong. Even though I said myself that I based this on facts, if that was true, do you think someone else who did an exact list like this would come up with the same results? Of course not, because part of how we interpret facts is opinion-based. I can do my best to be fair, but I make mistakes too. Bottom line is that YouTube is not the automatic truth for anything for the Zelda series. It's there to entertain, nothing more. Which means let's put aside what we hear on YouTube and let's look at this boss and what it did right. In fact, let's compare this to Goma, the previous boss, because they are on the same field. A lot of complaints are centered on this boss on it being easy. Of course it's supposed to be easy, it's the second dungeon, we're still being introduced to the game. Goma was easy, with Z targeting with a slingshot or decky nut, you brought it to his knees, and with here you threw a ball to bring King Dango to his knees to damage it. It sounds similar. With Goma, you were introduced to it by looking at it to create tension and start the battle. Here you use the first-person view from King Dango's side, which creates tension as well. If you were confronted by a giant Dango dinosaur for the first time, wouldn't something in your muscles tighten? That thing is huge! Goma retaliates by moving to the ceiling and laying eggs, and you can still debate she's easy to knock her off with the ceiling. Picture this. As soon as you hit King Dango, would you expect that big dinosaur to curl up into a ball and roll the first time you faced it? Of course not! Who would ever expect that? And where can you roll? You'd freak out, run, or accidentally roll into the lava pit. Now the downside. Yes, the boss is too easy, I admit that, but it's not a terrible boss. I think the term you're looking for is bored with it. Let's face it, if you replay a Legend of Zelda game, it's not built for veterans. It's built for those looking for a new adventure, and you know what? If you saw a huge Dango monster that outwitted the rest of the Dangos in the series, I'd be thrilled to fight a boss like that on my adventures. It's big, it's intimidating, it's easy like it's supposed to be, the package fits. Lastly, the finish is great. When you kill it, it will roll into the lava pit and it just oozes satisfaction that you killed it. It's kind of sad that it is underrated by many simply because we played the game too much. Ocarina of Time did extremely well with its bosses, and this one is no exception. The Skullkida from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This boss will start off trying to scamper away from you, and if you let him reach the end of the path, he'll disappear and you'll have to retry this boss. He'll put up obstacles, putting up a firewall, and a few style children to stop you along the way. As soon as you remove them, you can try catching up to him, and when you reach him, he'll stop running and start fighting you. He has an impressive attack range that could go through your shields, and he'll sometimes jump in the air to try slamming you. This boss is easy for pros, but it is put together really well for the environment it's in. Blind, the four-sword palace version from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now this boss is fantastic, but compared to the one inside the actual game, it's a complete dud. The first one shot so many lasers, it was unreal, but this one just does a handful of them and throws a few heads around the place. Yes, it's challenging, that's why it's part of the four-sword palace version, but failure. Goen from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. This one suffers from the same affliction that Death Sword did. It's one of those moments where it's an amazing battle, but it drags on more than it needs to. So with that aside, let's see what we're looking at. It's similar to Bongo Bongo from Ocarina of Time, but not similar enough for a comparison. You have to shoot out the eyes on its hand and then the eyes on its face before it opens its mouth for you to throw a bomb in to damage it. Huh? Almost sounds like Andros from Star Fox 64. All it will do in its free time is line up a barrage of bombs down a line across the arena. Cool, but not too effective. What pulls this boss down is how underwhelming it is. Goen proclaims that he's this ultimate master and that he's one of those final trial cliche bosses, but as far as I can see, I don't know about anybody else. But it's just a robot Tiki stuck in the 80s doing jazz hands with you. I didn't think it'd be that lonely. Moldura from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Are you surprised with that award there? You should be. Well, let me tell you a bit about myself. My favorite game in the Zelda franchise is Twilight Princess, and my least favorite is Wind Waker. No, it's not the cartoony art styles, those high-pitched notes in these songs that make my ears sensitive or something. And the song in this battle is at the top of the charts. I get a massive headache every time I listen to it. Yeah, I'm close to getting one right now, but alas, I must suffer. Moldura is a great boss with its execution. All the pieces are put in well. The music, the sounds, the design choices, how it attacks, it works out really well. It'll dive into the middle of the sand pit and send little creatures in after you. You must use your hookshot to pull out its tongue and hit it. Sometimes it'll swoop out of the pit to try flying into you, but surprisingly you can still latch onto its tongue and still hurt it. Majora is considered by many to be an amazing boss, and it deserves the title. It did really good. Talis from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Okay, that's a silly comparison for Monsters Inc. is getting old now. Also, you do know that these games are made for kids too, right? When I hear Mario and Link get picked on for exploiting weak points, you do know there are different games made for older players, right? Go pick on those games, but demanding difficulty on your part for a kid's game is an expectation field that will lead you into the haters gonna hate stereotype. Hating me? Well, heh heh heh. Talis is sure persistent out of all of the bosses on the Skyward Sword. It'll start out like it did underneath the ship and try hitting you with tentacles. The pattern is that you must strike them down with bombs, arrows, or the Skyward Strike, and then Talis will appear. Using your bow, you must hit the eye. It'll flop onto the direct ship, and then you start hitting its eye more effectively. Over time, the tentacles coming through the ship will try grabbing you, and then there's a point where a ton of them will come out like crazy, really making things immersive. There will be one final round where you must hop up onto a higher point, and Talis will start throwing its snake-like hair at you, then you can deal the final blow. I think this is the worst official boss on Skyward Sword, but it still fits in with the others quite nicely.